This presentation is about the principles of effective feedback based on recent research-based literature. Many literature identify feedback as a key feature of formative assessment, and the formative assessment based on current learning theory encourages students' engagement in learning process. However, feedback still remains as teacher-telling practice. So this literature review aims to identify principles of effective feedback to provide guidance to teachers and schools to enhance their feedback practice in the context of formative assessment. The first two principles of effective feedback are to integrate it with students' learning process and to communicate quality feedback for effective use. There is a general consensus of literature that feedback should be learning-oriented, so opening clues, cues, and triggers are highly regarded for helping students with learning as well as feedback through the process of task. However, prevalent outcome feedback such as try harder or very good does not contain enough details for students to use it effectively in their learning. So teachers' responsive questioning feedback is considered as quality feedback as their probing and eliciting questions build upon the students' responses help students elaborate their deep thinking. So Chin illustrates the progressive students' responses on ascending order of cognitive complexity in Solow taxonomy. However, what contributes to quality of feedback and its effective use for learning process is much dependent on students' abilities and their needs. So the fairness of feedback is well integrated into first two principles in terms of acknowledging students' different abilities and accommodating diversity of their needs. Individualized feedback is regarded very important to address those differences and diversities. For this purpose, teachers' neutral and non-evaluative feedback in classroom discussion is important. In the literature, teacher feedback like restating and paraphrasing students' responses enable those students with learning difficulty, such as weak language abilities, to participate in classroom discussion and to co-construct their responses with their peers. Therefore, fairness of feedback is more achievable when teacher understands students' different abilities and their needs. The next two principles are to engage students in feedback practice and to develop authentic learning environment. Effective feedback is believed to be not a teacher-telling practice, so how to engage a student in feedback practice is very important. Some literature discuss about the orientation of written feedback in terms of students' engagement, and the verbal feedback should be complemented to draw students' engagement. They also discuss about dialogic feedback interaction between teachers and students and among students. Chin argues that facilitative ALF iteration in classroom discussion could provide ongoing students' engagement in feedback practice, like turn-taking between teacher and students. So by dialogic feedback interaction, the right condition for effective feedback practice could be developed. The Hargrave says the provocative feedback could foster a divergent classroom cultures that students feel comfortable in exchanging diverse thought and ideas to cultivate an inquiry learning. To create and develop the environment, students perceive that teachers' non-judgmental expression in feedback practice is important. Peer feedback is considered important too for developing learning environment because students could experience how knowledge is constructed in real life by collaborating with peers. The last principle is alignment. For effective feedback, aligning feedback with instruction and assessment is important for student learning, as feedback provides students and teachers to monitor students' learning progress through the assessment, while it also provides teachers to scaffold the student and adjust their instruction and assessment to meet students' learning needs. To achieve the alignment, literature discusses about teachers' careful planning when delivering instruction, assessment, and feedback, and deliberate cooperation of feedback in those processes. And also the student active engagement throughout the cycle of instruction, assessment, and feedback process could bring the alignments. So those literature provide very helpful and insightful information to identify those 6 principles of effective feedback. So overall principle of ensuring effective feedback practice is that students should be actively engaged in their learning process through the teacher's effort on acknowledging individual differences.